Michaela Reed. I'm in Professor Kolbach's 240 lab at the time of 220. Today I'm going to be performing donning and duffing PPE and transferring the patient from the bed to the wheelchair. So the first thing I'm going to do is, before I enter the patient's room, I am going to first perform hand hygiene. And then I'm going to don my PPE. First thing I'll put on is my gown. The crinkling you're hearing is we did have to take my PPE because it was slightly ripped, just to let the examiners know. Make sure that it's completely behind my back. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put on my face mask. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put on my gloves. So now that I have donned my PPE, I'm going to enter into my patient's room. Hi, Mrs. Reed. My name is Michaela. I am a student nurse from DUville, and today it looks like you have a PT appointment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer you from the bed to the wheelchair, and then we're going to take you to PT, okay? Before we begin, can I have your name and date of birth?
Lori Reed, 2/28/1967.
And before I go any further, I would have brought the wheelchair in, make sure that it's close enough, and I would make sure that the wheelchair is locked. Okay. So Miss Reed, the first thing we're going to do is I'm just going to help move your top half, okay, over towards me. So if you can push off with that left hand for me, any extent that you can, that'll help me, okay? So let me just help you. And at this point, before I begin, I would make sure that the bed was at a working height. It is at a working height now, so we are all set. So ready? And here we go. Good. Now I'm going to move these down. Okay. Now, Miss Reed, I'm just going to move your legs, okay? So then at this point, I would lower the bed so that when she swings her legs over, her feet will be on the ground. For the instructors watching this, unfortunately, her feet will not be touching the ground, so you might see her adjust accordingly, but this was the best option I had. I would also raise the head of the bed so that she was sitting up. To demonstrate this, I'm just going to use pillows to prop her up. So, Miss Reed, the next step that we're going to do is I'm going to have you swing your legs over the bed, and I'm going to make sure that your feet are flat on the ground, okay? So I'm going to help you do that. Once again, if you can push off with that hand, that would be helpful, okay? So let me get in position. So I'm going to make sure that one foot is in front of the other. And when I pivot, I'm going to make sure that I'm not twisting my back, but that I'm opening up my leg and turning with her. Are you ready? And, okay, and go. Good. You're okay. Good job. Okay. Do you have any dizziness?
No.
No? Okay. So normally at this time we would give the patients a few minutes just to recover, but due to the skill, I'm going to expedite the process. And I would have my gait belt. Okay, so Miss Reed, what I'm going to put you on right now is a gait belt. And this is just going to help me when I transfer you to a standing position, okay? My gloves are a little big for me. Okay, I'm actually going to change belts so the instructors know. This one was the one we... Does that feel too tight?
No.
And I would just double check. I can get 2 fingers. Could be a little tighter, but this is not the ideal belt. Okay, so Miss Reed, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rock you back and then forth. We're going to do that 3 times. On the count of 3, I'm going to help you to the standing position. That all make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, are you ready? If you do need support from me, don't grab my neck, but if you can grab my shoulders and around my waist, okay? So here we go. Ready? Let me help you around here. Ready? So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. Any dizziness?
No.
And the patient doesn't seem to have any weakness, so we're going to continue to the next step. So the final step, Miss Reed, is I'm going to transfer you to the wheelchair. So what I would have you do is when I pivot, if you can reach with this hand to grab that farthest chair of the wheelchair, okay? And here we go. Perfect. And we would adjust the wheelchair so that it could be at the proper position so that her back is in alignment and that she's not uncomfortable. All right, we are all set, and then she would go to her appointment. So I'm going to step over here. So before I leave a patient's room, I would duff my PPE. So the first thing I am going to duff is going to be my gloves. And I'm going to perform hand hygiene. The next thing I'm going to take off is my gown. Slip that underneath. Pull my hand through. Get the outside. Off. Keep it away from me. I would throw this in the hamper. We'll just pretend that I threw it in that hamper. And the final step is I'm going to remove my mask. And I would also discard that. And then for me. I'm just going to perform hand hygiene one more time. And that will conclude donning and duffing PPE and transferring a patient from the bed to a wheelchair. Thank you.